This week's episode is brought to you by Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast. I've been using Anchor since I first started Command Point. Anchor is free and has all the creation tools needed to record, edit, and publish a podcast directly from a phone or computer. Anchor even distributes the podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. Podcasters can even make money from their podcasts with no minimum listenership by using Anchor. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. You can download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started on your podcast today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Command Point. We are back. It's been a little bit of a hiatus, perhaps.
Not really.
I mean, it feels like I feel usually we were doing.
It's been like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
It's not a hiatus. It's been 2 weeks.
We've transcended beyond space and time right now during pandemic. So yeah.
Yes, It is the 3rd of September.
Already?
Yeah. I can't believe that.
I wish I had a summer.
It's unreal.
What happened to the summer?
The
What happened to the last 6 months?
Yeah, really. Can we start over?
Oh, God. I don't know if I want to go through it again.
Is it too late to start over?
It's never too late to start over.
Maybe we can go if we can't go back in time, maybe we can just skip and go forward. Isn't that a thing where you can, scientists say that it's theoretically possible to go forward in time but not backward, kind of like Interstellar.
Oh, I know what you're
talking
saying. Yeah, this little maneuver is going to cost us
15
was
years.
it 15 years?
Something like that.
Yeah. It's like those side hallways on the arena boards.
Yeah, maybe we'll just do that, try our luck, come back in 15 years, see how it looks.
Oh, God.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we are here to talk about Kill Team and
Other things.
other things as well, but mostly Kill Team and what our friends across the pond are doing. The Atlantic pond.
Yeah.
We are really kind of curious about. This is something we haven't really talked about too much extensively. Spanish Kill Team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
they got a big thing going on over there. And
Oh, yeah.
we don't
It's
seem to
huge.
talk about it a lot.
the people from France at this point are traveling to Spain to go to their tournaments.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, the Warhammer community in general in Spain is they're crazy about it. They're ravenous. They're rabid fans.
Rabid.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are hosting tournaments all the time. They've got a lot of tournaments from this summer, both on TTS and as of recently
IRL. Yeah.
And we've got some of that data for you. So, do we just want to get right into it?
I think we should introduce ourselves first for
Who
any
are
new
we?
listeners. Who
Who are these people?
Who am I?
I am Shane Smith, and I am here with my co-host Ryan and our chief analyst, Sean Perry.
Chief analyst is just code for slow playing boring guy.
No,
but
that's not true. You do actually run numbers. That's why we bestowed you the title of chief analyst.
Master of the spreadsheets.
Master of the spreadsheet. Yeah.
I was very proud that my spreadsheets were with permission used in some other tournaments too. So I was flattered. I feel like I'm contributing to the community. Yeah, really exciting.
Yeah,
lots of stuff going on. It took a little while for the TTS scene to get going, but now we have a bunch of different TOs running things. So it's cool to see people being so active and finding ways to play when otherwise it's not what we planned on doing in the hobby when we spent lots of money on actual physical minis. But now there are tons of opportunities to play online.
Yeah.
And lots of good data is going to come out of it now that seems like everybody's doing all kinds of good tracking. I love me some numbers, so that's really exciting.
And speaking of events, there is a new event that was just announced last night. I don't know when this is going to be uploaded, but the Transatlantic Open is going to be our next tabletop simulator command point-esque tournament.
Yeah.
We're not going to be TOing it.
No.
Ryan or I?
God, no, please not again.
Thank Thank the Lord for that one. But our good friend Tim, friend of the pod, is going to be TOing that. And we're actually going to be using the Ibericon tournament packet that they've been running over in Spain.
Yeah.
So it's basically going to be our kind of first foray into like seeing what the guys over there are doing and how they're playing the game, and they're doing a lot of things differently from us.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. I guess
adaptive tactics.
Do we want to talk about the packet though?
Oh yeah, let's talk about
just the highlights. Yeah,
we'll start there.
Maybe not every FAQ ruling, but you know, like there's it's
all
cool.
the
Every new
tournaments.
packet, it's like a free expansion whenever you have a new packet, because it just changes the meta so much that you get to do all the theory crafting and testing all over again. So, you know, we talked before about how it's not always is this good, but when is this good? Shannon, I know you addressed that in your interview last time. So every time you change the parameters that you're playing in, you know, it kind of brings a new group of units into focus, because the when is this good is different now. So you get to highlight some models that don't see play in other packets. So
and every tournament result that we're going to be talking about today that happened in these tournaments was on this packet. So some useful context, I suppose. And
oh wow.
So we have pulled up the packet now. Ryan and I have it in front of us. Sean, I don't know if you've actually looked at it yet. The translated.
Yeah, I've browsed through it.
Yeah. So I guess we'll start the primary. I guess is the first thing we should talk about here. Well, before the primary, it's 100 points.
Yeah, that's the most important part.
This is kind of a step backward in terms of like we were doing this a while ago and we haven't done it in a while.
Yeah,
we've been looking at the 125 for some time.
Yeah, 125 points has basically been the competitive standard in the U.S. and then I kind of also want to say the U.K., but I don't. We haven't really seen any. A little bit.
UK has been doing a lot of slaughter zone before the.
Yeah, that's right.
Before quarantine, so they were, I guess, doing 125 kill hold. But yeah, in Spain, they're doing 100 points. And not just 100 points, but they're doing a different primary format. Instead of kill one, kill more, hold one, hold more, they're doing hold one, hold more, kill one.
Yeah.
And I think it's a max of 9 on the primary.
Well, we've got the scoring right here. That doesn't really help.
I think I'm right.
Terrain features roster. Yeah, that sounds about right. No, that's not right.
In the secondary table as well, while you look for that, right?
Yeah.
The secondary table is kind of like Slaughter Zone with the D12, where there's like different tables rather than free choice. And we can talk about that. But in those tables, unlike Slaughter Zone, it's not just there's 6 and you can pick any of the 3. Within the tables, there's going to be 6 options, but half of them are usually going to be positional and half of them are going to be kill based, and you got to pick one of each, and then the third is whatever. So that's an interesting thing that we haven't seen in a packet before. It's stuff that we've talked about before and that has kind of been bubbling, I suppose. But they're doing it over there.
Yeah, so you were right about the primary objectives. A player cannot score more than 9 victory points from the primary objectives in a mission.
I mean, the secondaries themselves are pretty basic. I mean, they're a lot of the arena ones.
Yeah, right? They're literally all from just the arena box.
Like the
I don't think
Ultima
there's
style.
Yeah, I don't think there's any like homebrewed. Yeah, I think these are all just GW secondaries, and then the TO rolls a D8.
It's actually a D8. Yeah,
that determines the set of secondaries that you have to choose. And then they have them color coded here. So orange is the is kill based primary or secondaries, I guess, and then blue is positional. I guess. Interesting packet.
So, what do you guys think about that? Sean, I'd like to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on there because so much of it is so different than what we're just coming off of, being bats. So it's interesting because, we came from 100 points, and then it seems like when everybody started to make the shift over to 125, that's also when hold one, hold more, kill one, kill more kind of became prominent also. So now we're going back to 100, but not going back to full on hold. So it's it's kind of finding the middle ground there, because I know originally when it was 100 points, hold, swarms were the thing, positional was the thing. You didn't really need to plan on having to kill stuff. And then when we made the switch to 125 and getting kill points, one of the purposes was to buff some of the elite teams, because they may have gotten more of a benefit out of the jump to 125. They got more benefit out of adding the kill primaries, but now there's this sense that it might have gone too far in that direction. We haven't seen hordes do as well. We haven't really seen a good old Tyranid swarm. We haven't seen Poxwalker spam, do well, which is probably good. But it would be nice to have that option to kind of go in that way. And so now it'll be interesting, once we dig into the results, to see if that's true. Do we actually see that this format allows both Horde and elite armies to both have a fighting chance, or if it starts to go one way or the other?
Yeah, I mean, this definitely dials back a little bit of the aggression and the dominance that killy teams have had. I mean, we basically went from pure holding to almost pure killing. Like, we kind of jumped to the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah, it feels like that.
So kind of backing up and going in this direction, I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's even though it doesn't seem like by going to kill one, kill more, it was actually going full on kill. Because when you look on paper, it's like, no, well, you can earn 2 points from holding, you can earn 2 points from killing. The thing is, by earning a hold point, you are not stopping your opponent from getting a kill point. When you earn a kill point, you might be stopping your opponent from earning a hold point. So even though it looks balanced on paper between how you earn your points, if you go the kill way, you have more opportunities to, you earn your own points while denying the other person theirs. So by dialing it, so it's a hold one, hold more, and then kill one without the second one there. It actually probably functionally ends up being a little bit more balanced.
Yeah. And I also wanted to say that with the kill thing that you're mentioning about where when you're killing things, you're getting those kill points, you're also kind of fulfilling this other sort of separate like mini game in Kill Team that is the morale phase.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to break your opponent. That's a mechanism in the game design that is meant to counter hordes. There isn't a mechanism in the game design meant to stop super aggro teams. The only thing that made the hordes so good before was the format that we created.
Mm-hmm.
So when you swing it to the other side, now the horde teams are dealing with a format that isn't catering to them and a game mechanic that is meant to counteract them.
Right.
Just thought I'd throw that out there, because I don't think it's something that gets talked about enough.
Yeah.
And I think it swings the pendulum really hard against hordes.
Yeah.
But here, I mean, this is interesting. I think this isn't nearly as punishing.
Yeah. So,
and I wanted to say one thing about secondary tables.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Because I've thought about that. When you have a secondary table and there's only 6 options, it becomes less about what's ideal for me, and it becomes a little bit more about countering what your opponent picks, or being able to deny what your opponent picks. Because when there's only 6 options, and you're sitting down and you know your opponent's roster and their faction and the board in front of you, you can deduce a lot of the time what they're going to be taking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people get caught in the trap of, what can I take? What is the most optimal thing for me to max? When usually there's going to be 2 that are pretty good for you, and then the third might be kind of tough.
Yeah.
And I think you're better off putting more focus on rather what's my third maxed secondary, instead of that looking at how am I going to deny those first 2 easy picks for my opponent.
That I know my opponent is going to be taking. Yeah, that's interesting. I can tell you, like, right now, straight out of the gate, so far I like this packet.
Just like a first impression.
Just like a first impression, I like it, and that's probably like has to do with aesthetics more than anything else. But that's not true, I guess. It looks like it's a well-designed packet. Don't like what we got going on here. I don't like the RNG determines the types of secondaries that you can pick. I just don't like it, just on the basis of it takes away from player agency, and it puts it in the TO's hands.
So what happened there was Ryan gestured to the screen and said, "I don't like this." For the listeners, he's referring to the secondary table.
Yeah.
I feel like we should clarify that we're not a video podcast quite yet, but
no,
I know what you're saying though. I'm not a huge fan of the tables either.
To be fair, it looks like every single one has like good choices, I guess. So like cut off the head. Well, oh wait, no. Number 4 is going to be terrible for killy teams.
Yeah, what I'm not crazy about is 3. So all of these, there's 8 secondary tables, and 6 of them, it's 3 and 3 on the positional and killy. But for whatever reason, missions 3 and 4 have, like, mission 3 has 4 kill based and 2 positional, and mission 4 has 2 kill based and 4 positional.
Yeah.
So my question is, what if you're playing against Custodes, right? And you get mission 3?
Rip.
You get like you're either taking engage and all fronts, which is doable.
I'm gonna take thin the ranks, I think, if I'm playing against Custodes.
The other way to look at that,
especially if I'm playing as a. Go ahead, Sean.
So the other way to see that, though, is, if Custodes gets the role where it's positional heavy, so, it kind of goes both ways, and maybe that has the side effect of kind of pushing Custodes out, which, in most cases, you want to let people play the way they want to play, and allow their play skill to dictate how they do more so than external factors.
Yeah.
But at a point too, you kind of need to say, maybe Custodes shouldn't have been in this game, or make it so it's impossible to run Custodes at 100 points and it could only be in 155. So yeah, I don't know. It's I don't mind this push for, or like these slight nudges towards making teams a little bit more on the, not necessarily take all comers, but they need to be able to do decently well at everything instead of hard one way and really weak on the other way. Because I think that starts to bring player skill a little bit more to the forefront, and not just the luck of the matchups and things like that.
All right, so
there's your context.
Yeah, we've riffed about this packet for enough, so I'm going to put the link in the description, and then it's also under TTS tools over at the Command Point Discord.
Yes,
which
somebody
also link in the description.
One of the Spanish guys was kind enough to translate the entire thing in English, specifically for Tyranid, because Tyranid is actually playing in their current big TTS tournament.
Yeah.
So now we have this for our community, and that's what we're going to be using for the Transatlantic Open.
Yeah. That's the name that we decided, Transit. That's right.
TAO.
Because it's TAO or TAO.
Yeah.
If we want to get technical.
TAO, who will probably be quite good.
Who will probably be quite good at this packet,
Yes.
Okay, so
let's talk about the results. What's been going on in Spain? So we know, before looking at it, we know that there's a lot of Drakari guys in Spain.
Yeah.
They love Drakari over there.
Mm-hmm.
And there are more Harlequin players finding success there than over here.
Yeah.
Those are the two big things that stick out to me.
They like their fast moving elves.
Yes. Yeah, and they got some good Eldar players too, so
yeah,
that fits.
So this was a tournament in June?
Yeah, so going all the way back to the start of the summer, when they were just doing TTS kind of like us, but they were doing a little bit more than us. So the top 3 at the Torneo Kill Team Villalba, Madrid. This was June 13th. The top 3 was, okay, so at number 3, this isn't a name. It's Sexy Soviet, who who played Grey Knights, and they went 2-1. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. We don't even have their roster.
The Sexy Soviet is a name that we've seen before, though. I just want to point that out. We've talked about it on another podcast where we're looking at the Spanish meta. There's no way I wouldn't remember that name.
Yeah, that's an eye catcher.
It sticks out. So
we don't have the roster though. So
yeah, they played Grey Knights.
I mean,
unfortunately, we don't have the roster. Yeah.
I mean, Grey Knights
100 points.
Yeah, I feel like this would be a tougher format for Grey Knights. I mean, I guess they're always going to get kill one. So that's 1/3 of those primary. They're usually going to get hold one. So I guess they're not that bad.
I almost want to say they would do better at 100 points, and I don't know why.
Well, I mean, they're not going to. They love kill more.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like at 125, it's like, what do they get if you're just running like the standard Grey Knights? You get one more. You get one more Grey Knight. Yeah,
6.
Like that's it. And
so
it's
it
like,
does open
is
it
it
up
really?
It opens up to Terminators, where you probably wouldn't take a Terminator at 100.
Yeah.
So 6 guys or 4 plus a Terminator. Where at 100 you're pretty much just at 5 guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess there's also the added benefit that at 100 points in a non-kill more format, you're going to run into a little bit more chaff than you would on kill more. And Grey Knights, they love killing chaff.
Yeah,
you know, the Poxwalkers, the Gaunts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Stormbolters on everybody.
Oh yeah,
kind of by default. Yeah.
So coming in at number 2 is Manuel Martinez.
Played Orcs.
Yeah,
he crumped, and we have his roster.
Did he draw in the first round? Is that what that blue 2 means?
It must be, yeah.
Okay, so he drew and then he won
2 games.
2 games.
Yeah, they got an interesting system on the scoring on BCP here. Yeah. You're getting like 1 point for a loss, 2 for a draw, and 4 for a win. Anyway, let's take a look at Manuel's roster here. It's interesting.
It's something.
I think we don't know the subfaction. For some reason, that's the only thing we don't have on this roster.
It just says faction orcs.
And it says sneaky gits.
For the background, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how big this tournament was, but he has a Luda. He has 6 commandos and a commando boss knob, but 6 regular commandos. And he's got 4 Burnas. So that's straight up more than half of his roster right off the bat. I'm not even looking at it.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on here.
Why?
And he's got 2 Gretchens that aren't specialists, that like aren't a leader basically.
Mm-hmm.
When they're the same cost as an ammo runt, which is the same but T3 instead of T2, and they have that cool bonus ability for the rerolls.
Yeah, and you would think that he would be taking those because he has a Luda Heavy with the Def Gun.
Yes.
So you would think he would be taking those.
I don't know. It's definitely not freebooters. We can deduce that because there's not a flash kit on the roster.
Yeah, it's all over the place. I don't know how to make heads or tails of this.
He's actually got 2 knobs with power stabas. That's interesting.
What is happening?
I don't know.
What is happening? Is this like the upside down?
Look, I can't even tell you what subfaction I think this is. I would just default and assume it's Evil Sons because that's what people like.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Couldn't tell you. All right.
Well, he took second. So
yeah, he must have done something right if he took second with this.
At number 1, we actually have at this event, the current number 1 on the ITC, I believe, and I think he's like considered the top player in Spain at the moment. Angel Alvarez Serrano, and he's one of those Drakari guys over there.
Drakari, Spanish Drakari player number
1 apparently.
Oh, number 1,
evidently.
I was going to make a joke about how many Spanish Drakari players there are, but
yes. So he went 3-0. He was apparently the only undefeated player at this event. And we have his roster. I believe he was Prophets of Flesh.
It also doesn't say.
But I see Akathists.
Yeah, I see Akathists. I see Rax.
But he does have some Cabalates, so he has the option for Flayed Skull.
Yeah. So this was probably
pretty standard.
Like Flayed Skull /
Yeah.
Prophets of Flesh. A lot of mandrakes. There is no grotesque, which obviously makes sense. This is 100 points.
But yeah, I mean, that seems standard to me. He's got the
Yeah.
liquefiers on the rack gunners, and I mean, it's a good roster.
Yeah,
It is basically, it's very similar to what Luz ran at the Command Point Invitational.
yeah. It's kind of like the standard Drakari template, I want to say,
Yeah.
minus like grotesques.
Yeah.
For an open format. What do you think about this? Is kind of interesting. I've never seen this before. The rack with homunculus tools and the medic specialism.
I don't know. It's
don't-
I mean, it's a
no?
medic. I mean, the stim shot is nice. I mean, I didn't really start liking the stim shot until we were playing an LVO with 3CP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the cool thing here is, especially when you're looking at the packet and how it's hold one, hold more, kill one. If he goes, kind of lots of bodies, you can use the stim shot to at least juice somebody up enough to go get your one kill, in addition to having the bodies to get hold more maybe.
Yeah.
So that could be the logic there.
Yeah. I guess the one thing I would say is Drakari already have they mostly have a lot of attacks on their melee guys, and they're already re-rolling charges past round 2.
Right.
Round 2 going forward. So, I mean, I can't think of a time when I would actually be willing to spend the CP on the medic tactic that much. I mean, in a time of crisis, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Because like the other options for specialists here are leader, obviously, demo rack gunner with liquefier gun.
He's got a combat rack with just homunculus tools.
Yeah,
Kind of weird.
I don't. Cavalate warrior sniper, cavalate warrior, comms.
He's got that sniper dark lance.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the demo liquefier.
Mandrake combat specialist. A veteran Clavex.
Interesting.
No, not a zealot Clavex.
Yeah, the
not
zealot-
even a combat Clavex.
I would have liked the Zealot Clavex because you can get up to strength 5. But
Yeah.
and also in a lot of these tournaments, keep in mind there's no vet charge.
Yeah.
So that's even less reason in my eyes to take the veteran Clavex.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's interesting. I don't understand it.
It is interesting to note also that in the tournament going on right now, the one that I mentioned earlier, this guy actually lost in the first round of the tournament to a demon player.
Ooh.
So that was kind of a big upset. It was the number 1 player in Spain in the first round of the tournament, loses. I believe he did win in the second round, though. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. So moving on.
So that's the June tournament, and then in July there was the Kill Team Rookies 3 Santander. This was 4th of July, of no significance to the Spaniards.
in Spain, yeah.
But yeah, we had a top 3 of number 3 we had Tyranids. So somebody has found success with Tyranids in this format. I believe we have that roster here. It's kind of
It's handwritten,
Yeah,
so bear with us.
it's a picture of a handwritten roster.
yeah.
Sean, you're the Tyranid guy. You've looked at this roster a little bit. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I see lots of warriors and raveners and gene stealers. That's what I like. And at Kraken, so I'd taken and Behemoth also. So I liked the Behemoth as a that's the reroll charges. Wait, is that even right? No, what's Behemoth?
I thought Behemoth was rerolling charges.
Yeah, but Gene Stealer's
Wait a
already
minute.
reroll charges.
Here we have the books right in front of us.
Well, maybe he
yeah.
maybe he has the 4-up involved on the Gene Stealers.
No, I don't. Oh, maybe he does. Yeah, and it's
Carapace.
handwritten and it's in Spanish, so. Oh, but that would make sense. Yeah, if you went with the 4-up invul, and then go with the reroll charges, 'cause
That's
the
something
whole
that I've
thing.
considered with Tyranids before, like just looking at it.
Yeah,
Taking Gene Stealers with the 4-up invul and with Behemoth.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's cool. Kind of, especially we've seen some of the other Spanish players take Harlequins, so they get their 4-up involves in combat and they're super fast and charging. So kind of like doing alien bug Harlequins.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Ravener's super fast movement. You know, they have a 12-inch base move, which is awesome. But I definitely missed in bats being able to reroll charges. So being able to take the Raveners and kind of get into a decent position on turn 1 and establish your board presence. But then the turn 2 charge is, you know,
So what is
not
that?
necessarily reliable. So if he has them on Behemoth, you know, establish a good board presence turn 1, and then you get a reliable charge on turn 2. Kind of lock him into their side of the board. I like it.
What is that Behemoth model? It says combat, I believe. It's underneath the Gene Stealers. There's 2 of them. I can't quite make out.
Those will be the Raveners.
Okay. So that's a small. I mean, it is 100 points, but that's a small list because he's got obviously 2 lists here, one being Kraken and one being Behemoth. So this is not a swarm of bugs.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's kind of like it's not like big bugs, like biggest bugs. It's kind of like a medium size. You know, with the Gene Stealers and the Raveners, they hit that sweet spot right in the middle. Where, you know, obviously Gene Stealers, their survivability comes in the invul save, and kind of natively rerolling charges, or in this case having Behemoth and the 4-up save. So do we know if this tournament was half open, half arena? I know that a lot of European, maybe specifically Spanish tournaments do a mixed.
I believe so. If this was a tournament that happened on Tabletop Simulator, I would assume that they had their own board that they had made for it, but I can tell with certainty that in their IRL tournaments, they do play with a mix of open and arena. And that's actually why the Ibericon packet doesn't have a dedicated terrain layout.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, and the fact that it's handwritten and with a picture, I wouldn't be surprised if this was, you know, even if this was an online tournament, it might be like a holdover roster from a paper tournament, you know. So yeah, my guess would be that the Kraken side would be for the open board, and Behemoth would be for arena. You know, the Tyranid Warriors having shooting options, and you know, the Warriors only move 6 inches, which is what most people do. Where Gene Stealers and Raveners are faster. So the Kraken lets them move a little bit more. You know, it does have the added combat bonus of being able to recharge if you were fled away from. Where Behemoth obviously rerolling charges. We saw what Shane you were able to do in bats with that ability. So that would be my guess, is that it was just the 2 sides for depending on what board that they happen to be on. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much diversity in what Tyranids can do in terms of like the balance between offensive output and survivability and mobility. You know, saves are not great. You know, that's a tricky thing with them, but you know, otherwise you can do a lot. So, but yeah, I like Raveners. I like Gene Stealers. Well, I like the idea of Gene Stealers. I rarely end up taking them in the end because it's hard to argue with the 3 wound and 12 inches of Raveners for only a couple points more.
Right. Do you think on this format at 100 points? So hear me out here. This is usually where I'm not. Yeah, this is where you say something ridiculous, but we're not going to question it anymore. How many bodies could you get if you did a single Tyrant Guard with the big claw, a Gene Stealer leader, and then just all Hormiguns?
I think the Tyrant Guard is 37 points with the claw.
I think it's 45 actually.
Gene Stealer leader is 11. Gaunts are 4. So let's pretend it's 40 points. So 60 points, 49 points. I guess you could do maybe 12 Gaunts, a leader and a Gene Stealer leader and a Tyrant Guard, something like that.
That's a lot of
10 or so Gaunts. Yeah.
That's a lot of bodies to be holding objectives A lot of bodies getting secondary positional objectives, and one big body who's killing things real good.
Okay, so Sean, you were right. It's 30. No, it's 40 points exactly. So we were both off, actually. Okay. You could give it like toxin sacks or whatever, but that's just extra. So it's 51 points to have that guy and the Gene Stealer. So 49 points.
Yeah.
So that's 14 bodies on a 100-point list.
That's so many bodies.
Where there's no kill more, so you're not getting punished for taking 12 guns.
Yeah. I like it.
Did I just figure out how to use a Tyrant Guard?
You broke it. No.
Yeah, that's
so. But then it always comes down to what could you get instead, and that's always the hardest part when it comes to those bigger guys from the Elites book. Is instead of that 40-point guy, you could be getting like 3 Gene Stealers. You could be getting almost. Well, let's see. 2 Raveners would be 30. Another Gene Stealer would be 11. So there's 41 points, and we had a point to spare. Yeah. So 2 Raveners and a Gene Stealer instead of that guy. Yeah.
I mean, the problem is
he's gonna kill. Like he's gonna get you your 1-point kill every turn.
Like Mr. Joe Guardsman can kill a Gene Stealer.
Yeah,
he can get lucky.
Yeah,
but Mr. Joe Guardsman isn't coming near Mr. Tyrant Guard.
No.
And the issue with the Tyrant Guard without the Warrior is you need to charge the closest guy, or else there's like a -1 or something.
But if it's
but if it's Behemoth, you're rerolling charges. Mm-hmm. And maybe if you have an extra point to spare, give him Adrenal Glands, so it's +1 on the charge.
Adrenal Glands are awesome. Yeah.
Hey, I think that's worth looking at. Sorry, that was a total random thing. Yeah. That was Guile Perez, his roster. Guile. I wonder if that's pronounced Guile, like Street Fighter.
Is that character Spanish?
Oh, I don't know. I don't play that much Street Fighter, but that's a cool name. And then number 2, I guess. Let's move on.
Coming in second place at the Kill Team Rookies event, we had, this isn't a name, Miliuko Full HD. Miliuko.
That's his name, dude.
HD.
Don't laugh.
Full HD.
Full HD. It's not, but yeah. So more Drakari.
His last name.
Yes.
It's another Drakari player. This must be Drakari player number 2.
Yes. So he placed second at this event. So yes,
must be. Makes sense.
And he's actually got a wildly different roster from Angel, who we were looking at just earlier. So he actually doesn't have any Prophets of Flesh, which is interesting.
Yeah. This is Witches.
It's Witches and Cabalites. Still got the option for Cabalites. I like his Cabalite team from what he can do. He's got the... he does have the Night Fiend Leader. Does he have a Clavex? He does. It's a combat.
Not a Zealot, which is interesting.
But yeah, I mean, this is...
I feel like that makes sense, but it's like every time I've seen the Clavex, I've always wanted to make him a Zealot. Just because that +1 strength means so much to that model. Because they're normally like strength 3, right?
Yeah, the weapon takes them to 4, but if you're a Zealot, you can go to 5. And getting to strength 5, that's a big threshold.
It's huge.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, he Miliuko, I feel like I'm butchering this, but yeah, he has a pretty interesting roster here. So he has the option. I would assume, presumably on Arena, he's going to run the Witches, and on these very open boards that Spain is playing on, he's probably going to run the Cabalites.
Yeah, that's fair. Lots of splinter rifles. I see 3 too many splinter rifles.
Splinter rifles aren't that great. Although he does have one of them would be the leader. Although he's always going to take the Night Fiend Leader, right?
Yeah.
I want to say 3 Mandrakes isn't enough, but I don't. How many I guess at 100 points, 3 Mandrakes is probably about right.
Yeah. It's got an Incubus that doesn't have a specialism.
It's got a Shredder on one of his gunners.
Yeah, Shredder.
That weapon's crazy. That
Shredder is crazy.
D6 shots or something.
Yeah. It's I think it's auto hitting.
No, I don't think it's auto hitting.
I don't know what weapon I'm thinking of. I should know this. I've got all these models built over on the shelf over there.
The only auto hitting I can think of is the Liquefier, and that's Rex.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm too lazy to look it up on Battlescribe right now. Anyway, Darkland Sniper, great choice. Cavalite Warrior with the comms. I mean, I guess it's good. I would have rather liked to seen the Cavalite Gunner with the Shredder be the comms spec, and probably fit in some more Mandrakes. And then I'd like to see the Zealot Clavex over the Combat Clavex. I don't know. Maybe the meta is just so different because, like, look, like we have a very Space Marine meta over here, but it's like in all top three of these, like we haven't for these past two tournaments. Like the only Space Marine equivalent that we've seen is Grey Knights.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know, and maybe he's just not relying on that model to take out Space Marine equivalents.
Yeah, that's true. Spain
because he's got the Darkland Sniper, man.
Yeah. Spain seems to have a very T3 meta.
I was gonna say it's all very T3 and t-shirt saves, or it's lots of.
Would be a shame if someone were to wander in there with a chain sword.
Yeah. Jeez.
There you go. That's the answer, Ryan.
Yeah.
The Blood Angels.
It is the Blood Angels list. That's the answer, man. All right. So
that holds true too when we like look over at some of the bigger events, at some of the other ones that are on BCP. Like 20 players, and there's a whole lot of T3 on here, or like Gene Stealer cults, stuff like that, with like not great saves. Tau, like that's a whole different thing. But
just models begging to be charged.
Yeah, a lot of Death Guard too. Honestly, though, they could.
That's the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah. So, but I mean that could be. Still though, if you're planning on like trying to mow down Poxwalkers, like you still don't need like crazy heavy weapons. You just need to like not let them stand back up.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If I was a Death Guard player in this meta, I would love to bring Poxwalkers.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Poxwalker can kill a T3 mob.
Yeah, true.
Actually, they have 2 attacks.
Yeah.
So, and especially the Zealot Poxwalker, as told in the my favorite model. What's the guy's name? Charles Darwin.
Oh, that's Charles Darwin.
He's the survivalist, dude. He climbs to the top of the ladder.
Yeah. They don't know what we're talking about.
This is nonsense.
This is classified.
Anyway, so at first in the Kill Team Rookies event was Rudy. What was the
Rudy
Tatina?
Tatina, and
giving it my best try right now.
Yep.
But this guy's actually quite high ranked on ITC, so he's had success at multiple events.
He was number 1 in another one too. Yeah, that 20-person event.
Yes, he's a good player apparently, and he's running Eldar. So Asriani, this is
hopefully Eldar.
Okay, so some things don't change.
The continent doesn't change.
The more
everything.
Things change, the more things stay the same.
Yes.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Storm Guardian, Altway leader with a chainsword.
What?
Instantly weird.
I was just talking about how good chainswords were in this meta, so I don't know, but
yeah, I mean it's just a chaff leader, right? He's just sitting there. Yeah. I mean, I guess you can make him whatever you want. I don't have a huge problem with this. It's like taking the cultist leader with the brutal assault weapon instead of the
auto. Save a point.
Yeah, it's whatever. And it's a point less than the Guardian Defender. So I don't know.
I guess we really need that.
Going down, you got the Guardian Defender comms. This is standard. Regular Howling Banshee Zealot. So here's the thing. So the Howling Banshees are strength 3, and like the non-Exarch models, you can't give them any weapons that bump them up to strength 4.
Yeah.
So, and they have power swords. So in this T3 meta that we're talking about, a regular Howling Banshee with a power sword who is a Zealot specialist does pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, you get the charge off, which is good because they're re-rolling charges, so they're getting in, and you can't react to them. And he's got 3 attacks with a power sword, strength 4. So hey, that's pretty good. That's something in this meta. Howling Banshee, Exarch, Executioner, Veteran. Maybe they're doing like Veteran normal move and then charge.
Yeah, they allow the normal move.
They have 8-inch movement. Striking Scorpion, Exarch, Biting Blade, Shuriken Pistol, Ulthway. And then he's got another Striking Scorpion who is also a combat, and he just has the Scorpion's Claw. So both those weapons really good.
Mm-hmm.
Biting Blade is strength +2, AP1, damage 2, and the Scorpion's Claw is AP3, strength ×2, damage D3. So
without the -1.
Yeah, no
So,
power fist -1. So that's a really good weapon.
Yeah.
Actually, when I played in a TTS tournament, I ran the Striking Scorpion Exarch the entire tournament thinking that he had the -1 to hit.
Oh
I didn't realize until after the tournament was over that guy does not take a -1 to hit.
Yeah. All right. So
And then the Dire Avenger.
Dire Avenger Exarch with the 2 Avenger Shuriken catapults, Guardian Defender, heavy weapons platform with the Star Cannon, really good. Howling Banshee, Storm. Oh, what is happening here? What is happening?
Jesus.
There are 3 Storm Guardians with chain swords.
T3 and 100 points. Just get more bodies down, and
You know what else they are? Strength 3.
I know.
0
But
AP.
like, you gotta get bodies on the field to get your 2 hold points, and then
Yeah, all you got to do is kill one of their guys. They kill like 5 of your guys. Who cares? You're still getting the same points. Okay.
And then he's got the forward gunners with the combinations.
Yep. 2 guys with fusions, 2 guys with flamers. Ooh,
And then a Wraith
Guard with a D scythe at 100 points. Interesting. I guess we know why there's the Storm Guardian, Guardians with the chain swords.
I will say, I have seen another player who's been having success in Spain with Eldar is John Sau, and I've seen his Eldar roster, and he also has Storm Guardians with chain swords. I don't know what's going on. We gotta ask him. We gotta ask him and find out. I've said that I think there are very few models that are actually bad in Kill Team.
Oh no.
I think that Storm Guardians, not the Gunners. The Gunners are awesome.
Yeah.
I think regular Storm Guardians are actually bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but I mean, at least it's not the Eldari blade, because then they have 1 attack.
Yeah. Like long time ago, I played a game against my cousin who was basically just running Storm Guardians and nothing else. And he was rolling hot. They have the weapon where it becomes like AP3 2 damage, right? The catapult or whatever. The Shuriken catapult.
Oh no, that's the regular.
Something else.
The Guardian Defenders on a wound roll of 6 with their shooting gun.
With their shooting gun, I would hope it would shoot.
With their shooty gun. They on a wound roll of 6, they become AP4 instead of normally it's just 0 AP.
Okay,
it's still 1 damage no matter what. But
all right,
those guys have that upside. And they benefit from, advancing and being able to shoot without penalty.
Yeah.
The Storm Guardians with the chainswords, they're just chainsword, strength 3. You give a guardsman a chainsword. A little bit better because they hit on 3s, but yeah. This is Eldar, though. They are good. They're good. He's got the Exarchs. He's got that Star Cannon, which is going to tear up a lot of the things in this meta that we're looking at right now. Yeah.
All right.
So that's the second event from July. And we've got another one from July. And this one was also a Kill Team Rookies tournament. This one was in Valencia on the 19th of July. And we're going to go through the top 3 again. At 3, we've got Carlos Paz, and he ran Tyranids. So we've got another Tyranids roster. And Sean, did you look at this one?
I did, yeah. This is the one that got me really excited because right off the bat, you can see the big bugs option. So for leader, he has a Tyranid Warrior, and those guys are just awesome. Because you put bone swords on them, and suddenly they get like 4 attacks at AP -2, strength 4, hitting on 3s. So I really like warriors. The biggest downside is that on a 23-point model, you're only getting a 4-up save, and they only move 6 inches. So it just shows how spoiled NID players are that we can usually count on a little bit faster models than that, but they kind of get left behind sometimes.
Only 6.
I know, right?
Oh man,
yeah,
whatever would you Death Guard players screaming right now?
Yeah, was it half your advance roll or something?
Lord, yeah.
So yeah, he's got in melee, he gets 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 4, AP -2, so that's awesome. But the Despot is also such a good gun. 24 inches, assault 3, strength 5, AP -1.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, so it's a 23-point model. It also, he put the adrenal glands on them, so it's +1 to advance and charge rolls. So that's awesome. It took me a long time to really appreciate what +1 to charge rolls does, because it's like, okay, whatever, 1 inch, like what's 1 inch? But you can't think of it as being 1 inch. You got to think about it as the percentage chance increase of getting a successful roll. Because like if it's an 8-inch charge to be successful, like usually that would be under 50% to get that. But with +1 to the roll, now you only need to roll a 7, which is like a wildly dramatic increase in the percentage of success. So really like adrenal glands.
Did we say already that he's running Kraken?
Kraken, yeah. So advance rolls, you roll 3d6 and take the highest for advances. So that's pretty sweet. And then also if you're in combat and the opponent falls back out of combat, you can recharge in the same turn. So it's not going to leave you stuck out in the open, unable to charge. So that's really good. Specialists, first 3 specialists are 3 lictors. So at 100 points, that means you're committing to 4 big bugs, which is like one of the first. That actually might have been my first kill team game ever. I think we ended up at the same tournament. We didn't know each other yet, but I ran that list that had like 4 big bugs, or it could do a swarm. So that's really exciting. 3 lictors, just being offensive powerhouses. And then going down farther, he also has Raveners, which I've already said I really like because of 12-inch move and lots of attacks and lots of wounds.
Yeah, and I like them in this meta because like normally I see them, they're like strength 4, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, strength 4 with no AP.
The hell is this?
No, you get a lot of attacks. You're re-rolling hit rolls of 1, and you're hitting on 3s. So you're gonna get a lot of hits, and then you're kind of just like flipping a coin on the wounds.
With no toughness 3 meta.
Yeah, that's just gonna rip things apart.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And then a whole bunch of Hormagaunts. So he also has the option of going like not 20 model gaunt spam. Actually, no, probably not going to. And then some of them have adrenal glands, which I like again for. It's not necessary at all for advance rolls, but making that charge roll. One of the things that I'm like kind of whatever on in this game is the fact that you can have a 12-inch move, or in the case of a Hormagon, an 8-inch move, but you're still only charging 2d6. It's not like movement plus d6. Right. So having a fast base move does not help your charge. But like I said before with the Raveners, the Hormagaunts are going to get into a really good position turn 1, but then that turn 2 charge is still up to the dice. So since the sub-faction here is Kraken, they don't get the reroll charges, but several of these Gaunts are getting +1 to their charge roll because of adrenal glands. And it looks like he has some very scripted lists in mind, because some of the Gaunts have adrenal glands and some do not. So he must have really mapped out exactly like where every spare point could be with different combinations of models, and put just enough adrenal glands on the roster to fill out 100 points exactly with as much movement as possible. So yeah, really flexible roster. Really can be really scary at 100 points. With just how adaptable it is, and how much you can really min-max the idea of elite or horde. So cool stuff.
Yeah, I like the roster. I think it's really neat.
Yeah.
Moving on, number 2 at this tournament was Joan Muller. Is that somehow? I think that's not the pronunciation.
I don't think it is either, but
Astra Militarum.
Yeah, Astra Militarum.
The Imperial Guard. So I guess let's take a look at this roster as it loads on the PDF. It is, for starters, we are looking at, what does he have?
Oh, there's a sergeant leader. I'm out.
Well, maybe there's more leaders. It's Catachan.
Yeah.
He has 2 lists on this roster, presumably. I can't imagine that you can fit much variation on 2 subfaction, on like dual subfaction Imperial Guard at 100 points. So if I had to guess, we're dealing with 2 lists. So we've seen the first 2 models in both of the lists, the Vistroyan as well as the Catachan. So let's continue down, shall we? We have a Guardsman Gunner. This is a Catachan guy. He's a demo. He's got a flamer. And then the same model, Vistroyan. So, oh, no, not the same model. It is a sniper. And it's Vistroyan. So, and he's got a plasma. Yes. And then you go down, and there's a Scion, who is a, what's his specialism?
He's
heavy. He's a heavy with a multi-gun. So that's terrifying with the deep strike tactic. Really scary stuff.
I mean, honestly, not even with the deep strike tactic, right?
Oh, yeah, with or without it, it's good.
Yeah.
Special weapons gunner, who is also a heavy spec with a multi-gun. So same thing, but it's like a budget version of the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually 5 points cheaper. Gottfried de Montbard.
Of course.
Pious Vorn.
Not surprising.
Now, before I scroll down more,
yeah,
I'm crossing my fingers.
Oh, no.
I'm hoping for some Ryan and Rouse action.
They're not here.
Don't let me down.
They're not here.
There's a second
Pious Vorn again.
Vistroyan, presumably. Come on. All right. Scrolling down. Moment of truth. Ryan and Rouse, baby.
Oh, someone gets it.
This guy is I'm no longer criticizing anything on this roster. Ryan and Rouse have made an appearance.
This guy
Ryan,
clearly
you can
understands
take the rest of it.
So this guy
I'm done.
clearly has a deep understanding of the way that Astra Militarum works. He must have listened to our Astra Militarum deep dive that we did a few episodes back.
This guy is clearly a gentleman as well as a scholar.
Oh, for sure.
And that is all I'm going to say about the roster. Ryan, you can continue. I'm going to assume that the rest is just kind of copies of individual models with guns, like gunners, and one being Catachan, one being Vistroyan. I do want to see if he has any weird Ogren stuff, or maybe a Tempester with a Power Fist.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. There's Rouse, obviously.
Tempester, I believe that is the Power Fist.
Scion Gunner with a hotshot volley gun.
Yep.
There is a Power Fist plasma pistol here.
Tempester, yeah. Okay, so no Ogren or Bulgren, which I think is good. Although, I guess this is like the one time when an Ogren would be good in a meta like this with a lot of toughness 3. Still too much of a points cost.
Yeah. They're still too expensive at 100 when you can just use those points more efficiently. And so obviously, I would say it's not really even a struggle.
He's got Gottfried and Pius. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
And he's got Ryan and Rouse. That's all that I can ask for.
Yeah, man.
I am fully aboard the Ryan and Rouse train. I wish we had like a choo-choo sound, like a hype train.
I gotta think of a sound for Ryan and Rouse whenever we mention them.
Like a sound bite, like a
either like a clip from a song or something.
It's got to be a clip from a song.
Yeah.
How about Short People by Randy Newman? I don't see why not.
We'll see if we can make that happen for sure.
Little hands.
I'm gonna write that down right now. Oh God. Okay. And just after every time you say that name, it's just they got little hands.
Oh yes. Anyway, Mr. Joan
Muller.
I love the roster. I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
And then number 1, this is what we were talking about earlier, was at this tournament, Victor Garcia with Harlequins. The
unsurprising.
In Spain, unsurprising. If somebody took first at a tournament over here in the States, with Harlequins, it would be kind of a shock. Well, I mean, I think the thing is, clearly Spain is doing something with Harlequins that that the Harlequin players in the U.S. are not doing. I don't know what it is.
I can tell you what they're not doing. They're not charging after advancing using adaptive tactics.
They literally cannot do that. So
literally against the rules. Okay.
Well, in a way, they can kind of get away with it.
Yeah, because there's
the 3d6 charge.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the difference maker.
I honestly think that might be. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Anyway, right, so this one's fully in Spanish, so we're going to have to try our best to explain this one to you. Subfaction is Estrella Galida. Ooh, I got to look that up. I got to find out what it is, because if that's what I think it is...
It's probably Frozen Stars, right?
Well, I'm hoping that's not what it is, but I think that is. That's what I think it is.
Gold?
I'm just assuming.
No.
It's Frozen Stars.
I
put it into Google Translate, right? And what came out was Icy Star. So,
yeah.
Icy Star.
Sounds like a...
Frozen Stars are no longer Frozen Stars. I'm calling them Icy Stars from now on.
So the Icy Stars Harlequins, Victor Garcia, he is basically, I mean, we know what models he's taking. He's taking players.
There's literally no other choices.
And he's taking Frozen Stars. Yeah.
So 3 different leaders. Shuriken pistol for those 3. And then these have got to be some combination. One of these has got to. So Abrazo, I'm assuming, is Embrace, Harlequin's Embrace.
Caricia, is that Kiss?
No, Caress, probably.
Oh, Caress, of course.
Yeah, and then Beso is a Kiss. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, the combat spec of Harlequin Embrace, combat spec with a Caress.
I kind of like the setup of like this actual roster page, because like he has the model
is Zealot.
He has the model with 12 points, cost of the model next to it,
and
then the cost of each piece of equipment next to it.
I love this.
It's very aesthetically pleasing.
Like,
I prefer looking at this to like most English rosters that I see.
Just everything is totally laid out.
That is funny though that the Zealot is Phonetico.
Yeah, I love that.
I like it.
What I like too about this, because of the layout, it's, when you're kind of revising your own roster and making choices and making cuts and things like that, you can really see where every point goes.
Right.
So it's a lot easier to decide, is that weapon really worth 4 points when that 4 points could be going to do this other thing? You can see how many points go actually to the bodies and how many go to the weapons, which, in Harlequins, it doesn't, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
But for other factions, like, we could do like a whole discussion on, like, I don't know, like workflow and prep process and questions you need to ask and how to set yourself up for success and things like that. And this would just, like, this kind of silly, not graphic design, but this layout stuff, like, that could be really helpful.
For sure. Yeah. It really breaks it down for you.
Yeah. This roster just seems easy to play.
Yeah.
From a cerebral perspective.
I want to say we should talk about so there's a few things where I think might explain why Harlequins are a little bit more dominant over there. One would be there's a lot of T3, right? So Harlequins will do well. They have a lot of strength 4 attacks, a ton of attacks.
Yes.
Harlequins kisses are just going to go off against a lot of these teams. And 2, other than the Grey Knights player, I would wager, based on what we've seen, there's not as many Psychers over there as there are here.
Yeah.
I don't see any Thousand Sons. I mean, we've seen one Grey Knight. There are some demons. I know there are demon players in Spain, but it's not. It must not be as frequent, because I don't know how you could win a tournament with Harlequins if you played against like Grey Knights or something.
Yeah,
or even Thousand Sons.
I also think the thing with Thousand Sons too. Speaking of Psychers, at 100 points, realistically, you're only going to be getting.
That's true.
One Cybolt, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, can we really expect them to have that same impact? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can put it in a Cult Terminator Sorcerer and then Zangor spam. I honestly don't think that's a bad idea. Just give them the Stormbolter and the Staff.
Yeah.
In a T3 meta, it would tear it up.
Yeah, Zangors are strength 4, toughness 4.
They're cheap.
They've got AP 1, 2 attacks each.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe that's the answer. I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess 3. One thing that's neat is on their open boards in Spain, to my knowledge, they don't play with impassable terrain.
I know the most recent one was not, yeah.
Yeah, so that I mean, probably smaller than the other 2 factors, but probably worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Like, having physically, like the crates were not infinitely tall, so having models that were like physically smaller and could get blind charges from behind one of those crates would be really helpful. You know, once you get to physically larger models and you can't do that. You know, that was something I was so happy with the infinitely tall, because just I like playing with Raveners and Lictors and stuff, and you can always see them over everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I have this sweet looking model that is like,
It's at a disadvantage.
Here. Yeah. So, and I know they also play, I kind of saw in the packet that line of sight is measured from the head to the main body.
Yeah.
So that it's definitely a little bit more restrictive in how you can see. So, you know, physically having a smaller model will be an advantage there. So maybe that's the real T3 meta secret, is that because of their rulings on and how they treat terrain and things like that, it's like having small models is a huge benefit.
Yeah. So nothing really out of the ordinary for a Harlequin roster here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just those factors combining with, I'm sure, what is a good player. And yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's got like medic specialists on here. Yeah, there's just medic specialists on here. That's the only thing out of the ordinary. We hardly ever see medic specialists on any roster. It doesn't matter what faction it is. Not just because you're spending a CP on a tactic, and that's the only thing you can get out of them, right? So that basically wraps it up for all of the Spanish tournaments that we've seen over the summer.
Well, there's the ones in August, but we don't have the rosters for those.
Right.
I guess we could just say what the factions were, if you want to pull that up. I believe one of them was taken by Orcs, a different Orc player than the roster we looked at before.
Yep, it's 14 players. Orcs on top. More T3. There we do have an Astartes player there. We start to see a lot more Death Guard pop up. On that same one. Okay, so we have 2 Astartes. We have 1 Necron player. 2 Death Guard. In one of the other tournaments, 20 players. A lot more, actually. First, second, third place, Assyriani, Death Guard. Super interesting.
Saw that John Sow has been constructing a Death Guard list. He's got all the models made and everything and primed.
Moving on from the Eldar that he's been running.
Oh, I don't think he's moving on.
Well, he said he just wanted to try them out.
Yeah.
So, and then that 20-man tournament was actually won by Rudy, the guy we mentioned earlier, Eldar player. So he's having multiple big performances.
It's those chainswords, man. They just cut through Death Guard like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Where is the other tournament?
And then the last event was the Torneo. So some of these ones that we're mentioning for sure were offline, like in real life.
These were in-person events. The GT La Cabertilla del Norte was I know. It was a 20-man tournament, or 20-person tournament, I should say.
Yeah.
And then I guess the 4th Torneo Kill Team Sevilla event was a 14-person event.
Sevilla.
Taken by Lucas Caron with Orcs.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. I wish we could see that roster, because I want to know what else is happening with Orcs over there. That other roster just totally blew my mind. And not even really in a positive way, just what is happening
just
way.
Confusion.
Just chaos.
6 commando knobs.
No, not knobs. Commandos.
Oh,
just regular commandos.
How many?
Well, the orcs, you got to play by the rule of cool, and there are a lot of really cool commando conversions out there.
For sure.
Because the real models are like, I think they're resin. They're fine cast.
They were metal actually,
or metal, yeah, but they're not. They don't have great plastic models out there, so you get to see lots of cool conversions. Mostly people like taking old like barrel terrain pieces and then just cutting holes and sticking orc arms in them.
Oh god, yeah.
It's pretty sweet. I did see a sweet unit that somebody chopped up a rhino into a bunch of different pieces and made it look like orcs were carrying the rhino pieces.
That's
and
funny.
When you stand them all next to each other, it looks like a rhino.
It forms the complete rhino.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
That's fun.
And I think they might have made it look like it was spray paint on the front, like humans in here or something like that. So yeah, I mean, you got to go. Every kit is an orc kit, right? That's the line.
That's true.
And sometimes you just got to play what's cool, and Commando's cool.
So yeah, I mean, we significantly less Astartes at these tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
The Spanish are not as obsessed with Adeptus Astartes as us Americans. Probably for the best, really. I mean, for most Astartes players, it has just not gone well.
With a few notable exceptions.
Yes.
I mean, it's so many things fall under the Astartes umbrella, right? With so many playable sub-factions, so many model options, and like loadouts. It's just like, it's insane. So I think we talked.
Are you
about
trying
that
to say
before.
that my Ultramarines roster that I built up isn't good?
Yes.
No, it's just when we say Astartes are good. I would love to play Ultramarines with Flamers.
Maybe. Yeah.
That'd just be hilarious.
See, I was thinking about it, but every time I shoot with a flamer, like number of shots, I always roll 1. So it's like, what's the point? What's the point? Kill team 2, they'll be better. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's coming. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was another one that we have not looked at yet.
Oh.
There was a third that I sent to you.
Yeah.
This was the third one, Torneo Kill Team Sevilla, and I believe Judso actually told me that this that the 2 Sevilla tournaments were it was actually meant to be one tournament,
but they split it up
because the actual location they were it went over max occupancy, so like there were no repeats of players in the tournaments because they're 1 week after the other.
Right.
So in this Torneo Sevilla, first place was taken by Adepta Sororitas.
Very cool.
I don't know what they ran. Actually, this could be. We had one of the Spanish players on our Discord talking about a Sisters player taking first, and I believe they just ran the same list every game.
That's hysterical.
I don't even know what the list was, but yeah. But second place Tyranids, third place Custodes. Yeah.
This is like the most diverse tournament they've had.
This is insane.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how insane the top 3 is? It's Sisters of Battle, Tyranids, and Custodes.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Custodes or Custodes. What the hell am I saying? Sisters of Battle finishing first in a tournament. Like, this is the first time we've seen this, right? This is the first time we've seen Sisters finish as well.
Might be the first Sisters first place since Sisters.
I can tell you right now, this is the best I've seen Custodes finish
in a while.
Since
like LVO prep
outside
tourneys.
of like LVO prep tourneys.
This is like you've took the medal from like early 2020, like January 2020, and you just flipped it on its head. You've got a bunch of Admech and Tau at the bottom, just kind of bottom feeding, while Sisters and Tyranids and Custodes reign supreme. Yeah, this was an RTT, so I mean,
yeah. When you got 8 players, like you go 2-1, and your top 3. Well, your top 4. So, but that top 3, it's like the second place player was 2-1. That's not an exceptional win rate. Like if you could sustain that ratio like throughout a longer tournament, then like that's pretty decent. But taking an isolated 3 games and seeing 2 wins and 1 loss, like It's not spectacular. So, but it's cool to see that's possible at all. And I don't know. It's just cool to see that the sample size of 8 players that you can get 7 different factions. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Hey, in a world where there's very few real life kill team tournaments happening, Sisters won one of them. So that's still cool. Even 8 players, but yeah. And I think that's all of them, right? I think we just covered all of the Spanish events.
Yeah. As best as we can with the data we have.
So yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff happening over there. It's a totally different meta with a different format, and the results show. I mean, a lot of different stuff is winning that I don't think would have been winning over here. So,
moving on to the next segment here. I forgot what it was. Oh yes, we were going to be talking about secondary objectives and knowing how to pick secondary objectives out of a tournament packet. What to, I guess, look for when you're doing things like list building when you're looking at the tournament packet and considering secondary objectives. So,
well, a lot of people are going to be asking about Ibericon because that's the next tournament that we're running. I already kind of talked about that earlier when I mentioned the the approach to looking at a group, like a bracket, or not a bracket, but like a D8 group of secondaries, and rather than looking for 3 things that are the most optimal, maybe focus a little bit more on what is my opponent taking, how do I deny that, what's actually reasonable on this map and in this matchup. I mean, but for open choice, there's a lot more to consider, right?
Yeah. Let me.
On something like LVO, where you have 18 secondary options, there's a lot of things that you can do, and I think you're really looking to tailor a little bit more to what your faction strengths are, and I guess what sometimes what the map calls for. On BAO, we saw that a lot. Certain positionals were more viable on certain deployments. So, and certain objective layouts as well. Like there was some missions where you really couldn't take data recovery.
Yeah.
And other missions where you took it every time. So.
Yeah. So the whole genesis of this segment that we're doing right here is a question that we got from someone called the Villain over on our Discord. And
must be a Tau player.
Must be. No, I'm kidding. He says, a lot of us newer players have only played the simple missions out of the core/elites books, so a walkthrough of the secondaries would be really helpful. So he wants to know what even secondary objectives are. How can we prioritize them by faction? Which ones are must-haves and which ones are quite weak? Do they change from tournament to tournament? How to handle random arrays, so the DA table that we've seen with Ibericon, hidden/revealed. Have the list of secondaries grown recently? So I guess starting off, we'll just start with the basic stuff. Secondary objectives, they're just objectives that you have the freedom to choose, which are just scoring conditions. That's basically it.
Yeah, I mean, the objective in Kill Team game is to score more points than your opponent.
Yeah.
So secondary objectives are oftentimes going to be unique to what you pick. So there's going to be the primary, which you and your opponent are going for. And then there's the secondaries, which you and your opponent could have totally different secondaries and therefore totally different win conditions.
And they do vary from tournament to tournament, depending on the packet, depending on your TO. So with the Ibericon packet, all those secondaries, as far as we've seen, are the same exact secondaries that were in the arena box. With something like LVO 2021, there's a lot of secondaries which you could call homebrewed, which are not an official Games Workshop written thing. It's the TO wrote them up, or somebody was helping out the TO when writing the packet and suggested those secondaries. So yeah, they change from tournament to tournament. How to handle random
random lists that you have to choose from. So think Ibericon, think Slaughter Zone. Regarding those,
Yeah, I mean, like what I was saying,
you kind of handle them the best you can, right?
Yeah, I mean, you think, my opponent has the same limitations as me, and you just have to think about what's good for you, but also try to put yourself in your opponent's shoes and think what are they going to be able to get realistically.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more of a denial game going on there.
Right.
Yeah, and in the roster building process too, you need to be prepared to have a flexible game plan depending on what pool of secondaries you end up being able to choose from. If you're playing, you might not always get your favorite secondaries in your pool that would work with the team you want to play. So like if you have a specific list in mind that you really like, that's really like kill heavy with lots of strong like power weapons, you might not find the obliteration equivalent that gives you a point for killing with a multi-damage weapon. So I think it does kind of, I think earlier in the episode I mentioned the take all comers route, and which maybe I have a soft spot for. I've always, whenever I've played any kind of game, I've kind of gravitated towards the most neutral character because I didn't want to commit to being the strong guy or the fast guy and then find myself completely weak in certain matchups or in certain scenarios. So I've always been like the Mario or the Luigi. So I don't know. So I like this idea of being able to be flexible to whatever secondaries come at you and whatever deployment you roll and things like that. So just you need to be able to keep that in mind, that you're not always going to be able to choose whatever secondaries you want, compared to something like LVO where you might know, even though there are 12 to 14 secondary objective options, that you're going to be essentially choosing out of like 4 or 5 depending on the exact matchup. So it does require a little bit more foresight, I think, to make sure that you're not completely dead in the water to certain pods of secondaries.
Yeah, and I think with open choice, you need to be a little bit less cognizant of what your opponent's taking, because as long as you're taking things that are really well suited to your win condition and in the matchup, and you're confident that you're going to be able to max, it becomes more of a like, how can I execute my game plan as well as possible without having to worry so much about what your opponent's trying to do. But if you guys are both limited, then that's when you have to start worrying about like, okay, I need to be more efficient than them with the things that we both have at our disposal.
Yeah. So after we got that question, I took the time to sit down and think about what's the most effective way of picking secondaries. And this isn't assuming a free choice hidden format.
Mm-hmm.
So what I came up with was, first off, you look at the tournament pack, you just read that through, you look at those actual secondary objectives, then you determine which secondary objectives are going to do things like stack with the primary objectives.
Mm-hmm.
So say that the packet is like kill one or kill one, kill more as one of the primary objectives, and you're thinking of doing like a more elite team, not even like an elite team, but just like thinking of, okay, I find myself across the table from an opponent with models who are generally weaker than the strength of most of my models, so I can probably kill them a lot more easier. So I'm going to be looking at killing secondaries. So things like obliteration, cut apart, marked for death. But basically you just get multiple points out of the primaries and the secondaries for accomplishing one action.
Yeah.
Just to stack the points.
Yeah, I mean, you guys saw like in Bats finals, there was times when I was able to kill a berserker with like a power fist and get bounty hunters, obliteration, and kill one, kill more from that one kill. That's 4 victory points.
Yeah,
that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and compare that to something like one of the secondaries. It's like have models within 3 out of the 4 corners of the board or something like that. So that's forcing you to like hide models away from the action, and you're probably not going to have objective markers in the extreme corners of the board. So if you're tucking 3 models in different corners, they're separate from each other. They're not claiming primary objectives. You know, unless they have like a good range weapon, then maybe they can be doing some shooting from the corners. But you know, it's hard to accomplish multiple things with an objective like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I guess the second or maybe even like the first thing to consider after reading the tournament pack, honestly, is choosing a faction which is going to score those secondaries the easiest.
Yeah.
Like this is like assuming that you're playing on like you're playing like a TTS tournament and you literally have unlimited access to every single faction and model. Obviously, if you're playing it in a real life tournament, you're limited to the models that you have and the models that you can like build leading up to the event. Look at those secondaries, look at the primaries, and figure out which factions are going to have the easiest time scoring points in that sort of format.
Yeah.
The other part of secondaries that you've talked about it a little bit, Shane, but I don't think it gets talked a lot. It doesn't get talked about enough. Is how you can go about denying secondaries. So what I've come up with is basically just packet knowledge and just overall faction knowledge, knowing how other factions besides the one that you're playing plays. So that way you're able to predict what your opponent is going to be taking. Mm-hmm. So like in your games against Micromancer in the Bats finals, like you pretty much had a good idea of what secondaries he was going to be taking every single time. Right?
And I mean, I'm sure that he had a good idea of what I was taking as well.
Yeah, so, for sure.
It's definitely pretty interesting. You and something like BAO where there's only so many things that are going to be viable for you, you can really narrow it down there. Mm-hmm. But I guess something that maybe people don't think about a lot is how to prioritize denial versus scoring your own things.
Yeah.
In a Swiss format, denial of secondaries, assume in a neutral game state where it's like relatively even and you're not like behind. In a neutral game state, denying your opponent's secondaries should come second to scoring your own. Mm-hmm. Because even if you're losing, in a Swiss format, what is most important at the end of the day is how many points you got.
Yeah.
So you don't want to lose 5-6. You want to lose 17-18.
Yeah.
That's much better. If you're going to lose it all. I mean, obviously you want to win, but
yeah.
And to clarify why, it's because of tiebreakers in the end of the tournament. So,
yeah, most
for people who weren't sure what that meant. Yeah.
Yeah, most tournaments that you're going to go to IRL are going to be using Swiss format. There's not really any brackets tournaments going on IRL. Just it's not really feasible.
Yeah.
And because of this, it's there's going to be multiple teams that are like maybe undefeated after 3 rounds, but somebody's got to be first place, and the person that's going to be first place is the player that has the most victory points accumulated over those wins. So yeah, you're going to be maybe 2-1 if you lose in the 3rd round, but it's still pretty important. Say you want to get top cut or something, right? You want to be like top 8. The difference could be losing 17-18 instead of losing 7-10.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the difference maker right there. So prioritize scoring your stuff over denying your opponent's stuff.
All right. So I think that's a pretty thorough discussion all about secondaries. Moving on to the next segment. The Discord has been expanded significantly to not only include discussion channels about Kill Team, but also to include discussion channels about other Games Workshop games and also some other tabletop war games, skirmish and like big mass battle games.
As it turns out, people that play tabletop war games tend to like tabletop war games.
Yeah, who would have thought, right?
So yeah, I mean, we added a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it. But if you like Kill Team, if you like 40K, some of these other games might be up your alley too. And we're encouraging you guys to go talk about it on our Discord.
Yeah. So obviously there's, just going down the list of GW games, we got 40K, we got Age of Sigmar, and we've also got channels for every single faction in both those games.
And Blood Bowl.
And we're getting there. I'm going down the list right now.
All right.
We got Necromunda, we got Warcry, we got and then Blood Bowl, which I think is being renamed. I think it's being renamed to Blitz Bowl.
I did see
like
that.
a second.
Yeah, they're putting out a new box, and I don't know if that's an overall name change. I did see Barnes & Noble actually carrying some Blitz Bowl boxes, so I wonder if that was just a reskin for big box stores. So maybe they didn't want to carry a product named Blood Bowl, but they would do Blitz Bowl. So I don't know if, like, in general they're making a big change, or if it's just to sell in those stores.
As somebody that does not play Blood Bowl and has no connection whatsoever to that game, I'll be really disappointed if they change the name to Blitz Bowl.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing GW expand its IPs to like lots of other places. Like, you can buy 40K themed board games in Target right now.
Yeah.
And it's like 6 easy to build minis. It almost looks like a dungeon crawler kind of thing. You get you get one Marine. They're like 6. Each Marine has its own subfaction with identity. So you have your Salamanders guy with the flamethrower, and he's an easy to build, like, push fit green plastic. So and now the Blitz Bowl and like Barnes & Noble. So they're just like pushing out their products into a lot of more accessible places, which is really good just for the hobby and the community in general, to kind of normalize this really niche kind of hobby. So I mean, that's really cool to see, as long as it doesn't end up kind of simplifying things too much for those who have been kind of in it for longer, and make it more of a lifestyle game instead of just a board game. But more players is always a good thing. Warcry, I think that's probably the one that is most relevant to the interests of our listeners.
Skirmish.
Because
and Necromunda too.
Yeah, and we see because we see a lot of influence of Necromunda and Kill Team, but also in Warcry, we've seen a lot of like fan-made crossover things. Was what do they call it? Kill Cry. When they're basically taking the Warcry cards and keeping the stats the same, but changing it over to be 40K minis, which I love that idea. And honestly, if we end up seeing a Kill Team 2.0, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see them take a lot of Warcry elements and put them in Kill Team, because Kill Team came out first, so you would assume that they could learn from that process and that response and the evolution of the game when making Warcry. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see some of those things carry over. For anybody who hasn't checked out Warcry yet, probably the most, it is a skirmish game. The big highlight, noticeable differences would probably be simplified stat lines. Instead of having like weapon skill and strength, you basically just like have X attacks and this is your success, compared to one defense stat. So instead of like toughness and armor save, it's just one defense stat. And then there's a damage value that's based on a successful hit versus like a critical hit, which would just be rolling 6.
It's a fun game.
Yeah, and
it's a lot easier to play.
Yeah, and it is, and I'm really excited about it. I've only have a couple games in, but I'm really excited about it because I don't feel like it's oversimplified. They have a whole randomized scenario generator mechanic with these decks of cards, and some of them just it's exciting, but it's also like really lopsided. I liked I think Emmanuel was talking about in the Discord how instead of choosing one card from each deck, they choose 3 and each player gets to discard 1, so that you wouldn't have a game be over before it even started based on the draw. And I really like the it's alternating activations. So instead of having phases, you do each model gets 2 actions, and you go 1 model at a time back and forth. So you could choose if you double move, you move and attack, you do double attack, and then there's another mechanic for doing extra actions. So alternating activations is definitely an idea that gets floated around sometimes as maybe something to consider for kill team, or at least alternating activations in the movement phase, the way it's done in melee and in shooting phase. But yeah, it's a neat little game, so worth checking out. I don't know if TTS has like a really strong set of object packs for Warcry yet. It's been a while since I looked for them.
I think there's some stuff on there. I haven't tried it on TTS. I've heard that some people have. So I mean, I'm sure there's something there.
Yeah. They've also got a new starter box coming out soon for Warcry. It's kind of like Arena in that it's like a 2D board with some terrain, but it's like played on hallways.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it's cool looking. Because it's like lava and stuff. But then the terrain is like, it's very lackluster. It's like bridges over the lava, so it looks cool. But then when you really break down,
it's all going to come down to it's going to come down to how much that box is.
Right, and $150 is a decent guess because it does come with 2 warbands, so it's a complete game in the box. And I believe it's 2 warbands that are brand new. Is that
that's
true?
Yeah,
really
they
cool.
are. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So, it is a whole game in the box because the original starter set cannot be found anymore. It was kind of like the original Kill Team box in that it's an insane value, and they got swept up, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So now there really is no starter box. So this is kind of the new starter box, but it's also like, I don't know, it's a different game.
There's also Necromunda. I have not played Necromunda. I don't know. Have any of us played? Right, Sean, have you played Necromunda?
I have not. It kind of seems like it's the opposite, though. I think it's definitely
Yeah, I was about to say
campaign driven and very deep in terms of the, I don't know if narrative elements is the right way to put it, but in terms of like individual kind of upgrades and campaign effects, I think it's more intense.
I've heard that if you like the campaign side of games like this, like tabletop games and skirmish games especially, Necromunda would be like right up your alley. I've heard it's got a much better system than Kill Team for that type of gameplay.
Character development is what this game has.
And also, you can play Gene Stealer Cult in Necromunda.
Yeah, that's cool.
So if you're a cult player, there you go.
Yeah.
I can't speak much on the actual gameplay. I know it's a skirmish game. It is 40K. It's more like gangs rather than like factions.
You're like fighting other gangs for things like resources, money, I guess like weapons upgrades. I'm not sure. It seems cool.
I would anybody on there that would be interested in trying out Necromunda or teaching somebody to play Necromunda on TTS or something, I'm totally down. I would be interested.
Yeah.
And also the same goes for Blood Bowl, which we've also added channels for.
That's right.
I have been super interested in Blood Bowl for a long time, but I haven't gotten into it. And now it's making like a resurgence, so maybe I'll hop into that at some point.
Yeah.
But if anybody wants to teach me how to play Blood Bowl on TTS.
Yeah, and for both Necromunda and Blood Bowl, like really great models. The Orc models for Blood Bowl actually make for really cool conversions, like every kit for Orcs. But because Blood Bowl is it's a sports minis games, they have a lot more. The poses are a lot cooler. There's a lot more action in the poses, so you can like straight up port some of those models over into like Kill Team or 40K, and they look really neat. Necromunda also has this awesome terrain sets, so there's a lot of conversion and tabletop possibilities for both those games, even if you're primarily Kill Team.
There also is like a Blood Bowl, like a video. Yeah, there's like a video game. Yeah. Oh, and something that we skipped over was there's a Necromunda video game coming out soon.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's been announced. Cool. So it looks cool.
Yeah. We've also added channels for A Song of Ice and Fire Miniatures, which is a game that's come out in the last 2 years. It's a game that you and I have played, Ryan.
Yeah, we
can actually talk about this.
Yeah, we've played it a few times.
I like that game.
I like it a lot too. My favorite thing about the game, honestly, like besides like you and I, like we were fans of the show to a point, as I feel most of our listeners were. Fans of the books.
Yes. This is Game of Thrones for the unaware.
Yeah, A Song of Ice and Fire, the miniatures game, is based off Game of Thrones. Like the book series, also actually called A Song of Ice and Fire. The premise is there's each of the major houses of Westeros is represented in this game, along with some neutral factions like mercenaries and stuff.
It's more of a big war game rather than a skirmish
it's
game.
a mass battle war game, but
it plays
somehow
faster.
it plays easier for me.
Yeah.
At the very least, it
I
plays
totally
easier
agree.
than Kill Team.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing about the game is the amount of support that it has from the publisher. CMON, spelled all capitals CMON. They have their own app. It's called War Council, and it's basically like Battle Scribe, the rule book, and
I didn't even know that.
Just what else do we got in here? They've got the rule book. They've got all the game modes in their own section. They have an FAQ.
An
its own
FAQ?
section. Yeah. This is what I want. This is what I want the Games Workshop app to be, basically, for 40K. So it's like it's fantastic. That's my favorite thing about the game.
And now that they've introduced Greyjoy, I might actually have to get into it.
Yeah.
Like IRL.
So there are, for the major houses, there are Stark, Lannister. Those two were in like the big starter box. They've also since come out with House Baratheon, which is actually like two different factions in the same $75 starter box. I think it's cool. $75 because they have Renly Baratheon and Stannis Baratheon.
Oh, that's
Stannis can still
neat.
win.
Stannis.
House Targaryen was the latest starter box to drop, I think.
Or was it Greyjoy?
No, Greyjoy's been announced, but the box hasn't come out yet.
Oh,
yeah, I know, such a tease. They also, I think they announced that there's going to be like individual like dragons, like dragon models coming out as expansions for Targaryens. Yeah, so that'll be OP. I don't know. They have the Night's Watch. They have the Wildlings. They also have neutrals, so Stormcrow mercenaries, everything House Bolton.
Yeah. I have been so disconnected from Game of Thrones ever since.
Right. It all just blew up. Varys, Peter Baelish, all those characters.
If you have any fondness left in your heart for the franchise, because it is 90% good, very good, and you enjoy the books or whatever, definitely check this out.
This is an important thing to talk about too, is that this game is based off the books. Nothing from the TV show.
Yeah.
None of the liberties that the TV show took when it strayed away from the books has made its way into this game. This is purely based on the books. That's something that the publisher really wanted to do when they made this game. So yeah, I love it. It's fantastic.
In hindsight, that was a great call from them. I think this game came out before the series was over.
Someone must have leaked something to them. Yeah.
Excellent foresight.
Yeah. Sean, do you want to talk about Star Wars X-Wing?
Yeah, real quick. It is a cool minis game. It's kind of loosely a minis game. Some major differences. One, all the models come pre-painted and pre-assembled. Okay, so for some people that's going to be a big relief. For some people, it takes some of the hobby fun out of it. It is really common to do repaints of ships. So, and some people go like all out and do like LEDs in the ships. So, there's some mods and things that happen. So that's cool. And the thing that kind of attracted me to it beyond just Star Wars is cool, is it uses a template movement system. So it's really pitched as a dogfighting game. So this is not like the Star Wars Legion where it's actually like on the ground kind of skirmish game. It's all the ships, and so to kind of simulate that dogfighting, outmaneuvering each other kind of play style that you might imagine, you all the models on the board you assign a dial to. Each ship has its own maneuver dial that has possible movements it could do. You assign each of your ships a dial in secret, and then you alternate activations loosely, flipping it over and then executing the maneuver. Now, the maneuvers are not in inches. There's an actual like movement guide template that you use. So there are 5 main distances, being 1 through 5, which does not correlate to inches or anything. It's just kind of a range scale. And then you can either do like a 90-degree turn, a soft bank, which is like 45 degrees, or you can go straight ahead. So, if you reveal a 2 right bank maneuver on your dial, you take the 2 bank template, you put it in base contact with the front of the base of your ship, you move it to the other edge of the template touching the back of your ship. So there's no measuring in that regard, and it, in theory is pretty clean because you're just picking it up and moving. So take some of that away. You alternate activations within pilot skill order. So the main stats you'll see on ships are their pilot skill from, now we're in the 2nd edition of the game, so I believe it's 1 through 6. You alternate activations, doing all of the pilot skill 1s, then the 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s, doing all the moving and actions, and then you have the shooting phase, which goes 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So when you're list building, you're kind of finding this balance between the strength of the model versus when it activates. So after you move, you take an action, and most actions are some variation of maneuverability. So you move your template as you assigned, but then you get to make an additional move. That could be a barrel roll, or it could be a boost to bring you forward more. So that allows you to maneuver once you see how the board has developed through the movement phase, and make some kind of tweak to your movement at the end. And other actions involve some kind of dice modification. They use custom dice for the game. That's basically a hit or critical hit or a miss. And then on defense, you can evade. And your attack and defensive abilities basically are how many dice you get to roll. So how many dice you get to roll, and then how you modify those dice to give you better chances of successes and failures. So you can have a really maneuverable squad. You can have a really attack-heavy squad. You can have a really like turtley defensive squad, and any combination between. There are like swarm tactics. You can have like 8 TIE fighters out there flooding the board. You can have like a 2 model build. So there's a lot of variation in that. And are you going to be the evasive kind of elite squad of 3 models that are so maneuverable that the opponent can't get you in their firing arc because you're really outmaneuvering them with this kind of dogfighting theme? And that's probably high pilot skill because you want to see how the board develops before you do your extra maneuvers to stay out of firing arcs. Or do you want to do low pilot skill swarm and clog up the board so much that your opponent, when it's their turn to move, their model bumps into yours and they don't get any action at all that phase? So it is a super, super tactical game. It does have all the recognizable characters from Star Wars. All 3 trilogies are represented. The game started off with just the Rebels and the Empire, and then they added Scum and Villainy a year or 2 into the game. And then when they had the 2nd edition reboot, they kind of split off into, now they have like 7 factions representing the good guys and the bad guys of the 3 main trilogies. So, and then you add crew upgrades. It's really customizable in terms of what upgrades and things you use. And the coolest thing right now is that, man, I'm talking a whole lot about this game that I don't play anymore. The TTS scene is insane. There's a lot of animation. Yeah, it's really robust. The TTS modules on there, some people put a lot of time into it. And lots of animations. It's really cool. So that is my long pitch for that game I don't play, but I still have a soft spot for. I still own a lot of it. It's a cool,
that's good. I mean,
It's a-
I feel like Shane and I know how to play the game now. So whenever
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah,
give it,
there you
whenever you
go.
want to give it a go,
Very much
you
so.
got Boba Fett ship, you got Slave One.
I do. I have.
All right, I'm
Oh,
in.
there we go.
I'm in.
You
That's
got-
all you. That's all you had to say.
No,
And I
it's a
guess-
good. You know, it's cool because you can do beer and pretzels because Star Wars is cool, or
Yeah.
you can do. It's super tactical. You know,
Yeah. I've heard it's very competitive.
Yeah, it's Fantasy Flight's like most. It's their biggest moneymaker. You know, it's really common for regional tournaments to sell out, and like, you know, people will drive 3 hours to a tournament and then they say, "Sorry, we're full. Our store can't fit more than 80 people."
Yeah,
So we gotta let you out.
Fantasy.
We gotta keep.
Fantasy Flight is a great company. Even their like non-competitive games have like competitive scenes. Like they're just good developers. Yeah, like their board games, like Twilight Imperium.
There's a competitive scene for Twilight Imperium.
Yeah, and then they've got a lot of other games that are less geared that way, like Cosmic Encounters. Is that Fantasy Flight? That's another.
I don't remember. I want to say yes.
I think it is.
I mean, it's not competitive unless you're like, you know, like playing.
That game's not at all competitive.
It's not at all competitive.
That game is a travesty, but it's so much fun.
We call it Butthurt Renegades.
Yes, actually.
Because of how butthurt we get when we play that game.
Yeah, we actually have a system where we'll play a game and it lasts like maybe like 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the way we decide who goes first in the next game was who was the most butthurt in the last game.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of feels bad in that game, but
so much
but like the party element of it makes it so much fun.
Yeah.
And there's just so many different like alien races that you can play as.
Yeah.
There's like over 100 or something, and like you just draw from a deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't have this game.
No.
So let's move on.
No.
To,
Yeah.
Okay. A good segue. We have Star Wars Legion. I don't
Yes, we do have Star Wars Legion.
have any of us played this game.
So I was
I
able
have
to
not
demo
played this
it during the demo day.
did. I could not demo
at
it
Millennium Games, our friendly local game store.
because I was the Kill Team demo guy, so I didn't get
yes.
to participate in that.
Yeah, that sucks. It's a great game. It plays very similar to A Song of Ice and Fire. I felt like, I don't know why. It just kind of felt that way. It's not really a skirmish game.
But it's also not really like a big.
It's not a big game. At least what the setup they had there, it wasn't like a big game. I mean, you can take like 40 stormtroopers.
But you don't
plus,
have like
an
units,
ATST.
right? You
No,
like
you
spread
do.
You do
You
actually
do.
have
Yeah,
units?
so it kind of plays like 40K when it comes to like unit coherency.
Okay.
So like you do have squads of minis, but they all need to like stay together when you're moving them. There's things like speeder bikes, ATSTs, like Republic tanks, Republic clone tanks. All the Star Wars villains and heroes are represented. All three trilogies are represented, I believe, in some capacity. Or actually, no, that's not true. It's only the two good ones. Hot take. Not really. Republic and Empire are the only two eras represented as of right now.
No. They have the prequel factions in there, right?
Yeah.
Or are you saying-
Republic is prequel era. Empire is.
Well, they have don't they have the CIS though, as their own
Yeah,
faction?
yes, that's what I'm saying, Shane. The Republic era.
Oh,
the Republic era
sorry.
of the Star Wars timeline.
I'm totally misunderstanding. You. I
Yeah.
thought you were saying like Republic, like as a faction.
Oh no.
And like Imperial as
That
a
would be-
faction. I was
no.
like, because the
That would-
droids are like not that.
Yeah. So there's the Separatists, the Republic clone troopers, Imperials or stormtroopers, and the Rebels.
And they don't have the obviously, yeah. What you're saying is they don't have the sequels. They don't have the
No.
New Order or whatever.
The New Order, whatever.
And then the Rebels Part 2.
Whatever that was.
But yeah, it seems like a fun game. I would like to try it.
I like the way it played a lot. There's a lot of strategy there. It's a kind of like a card driven game.
Oh,
Because the way the initiative order works, I think, is you take all the unit cards and you kind of just shuffle them together, and then I don't remember. I'm kind of just going off memory here, but I know that you shuffle them all together and then you deal them, and that determines which units activate, or it's like some units you activate ahead.
okay. So, yes, the gist of it is we have a lot more stuff that you guys can talk about outside of Kill Team.
Yeah.
We are obviously going to remain a Kill Team platform. That's not changing. But
Yeah.
for those of you on the Discord, in case you want to talk about other stuff, there is that option now. There's plenty of other games out there. And we'll be adding TTS tools sub channels to those
I think
categories.
I think they've already been added. Would not surprise me if I or you or wind up adding more channels for more games. If you guys out there have any suggestions for any skirmish or like mass battle war games, I don't know, maybe War Machine.
Maybe we could add like Warhammer Underworlds Online or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's
I actually have that game on Steam, like the video game, and
Yeah.
I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
Not good at it.
Oh man, I haven't touched that in a long time.
The
this
kill
also-
team experience did not translate.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this and you're not on the Discord yet, then maybe this is giving you a reason to hop on there and join in the discussion on some of these other games.
Yeah, we've got a growing community.
Yeah.
We've got over 200 people now, which is pretty big. I remember when we started the Discord, and I was looking over at the Kill Team Granada Discord to kind of follow their tournaments, their TTS things, and they had like around 100, and I was like, whoa, man, they're so much bigger than us, and now we're like double their size, and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And there's more people coming in every day, and there's so many people playing like Kill Team,
playing games
TTS
24/7.
Yeah, and there's streams, and you're just missing out on a lot of our platform if you aren't using our Discord. So you got to hop on over there and check it out.
Yeah. So
it's been a fun one. It's been a long one.
it's been a long one.
I don't know how long you've been going.
We started at 9
and
to 11:28.
Oh, it's like 2.5 hours. It's actually not that.
It's not
crazy.
that. It's
Pretty much
definitely
2
one of the
episodes
longest.
when you really
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Well, it's been fun. It's been a good talk. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need to plug. If it's not filled up, or if we haven't expanded by the time this episode is released, and you're interested in competing in one of our tabletop simulator tournaments, hop on over to our Discord and look for the Transatlantic Open on tournament, and you can register for that and participate. There's going to be a lot of good players on there.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we're capping at 32, although there is the possibility that we'll expand. Not going to make any promises, but if there's enough demand, we will.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. There's going to be streams.
Come over to the Discord. Subscribe on YouTube.
Follow us on Spotify,
Follow us
Apple,
on-
wherever podcasts are found.
Yeah. Follow our Instagram. Follow our Twitter. That's the new thing.
Oh, yes.
I made a Twitter for this, and I forgot about it, but now we're back on it. So go follow Command Point D6 on Twitter. That's at Command Point D6. Thank you guys for listening, and we hope to talk to you all again in the